So DxO has just released the Nik Collection 3, and we are just going to take a brief look at one of the new features. The first listed new feature is the amazing non-destructive workflow. So there's actually not much of non-destructive here because it supports non-destructive workflow for TIFF files, which means if you're using RAW formats, you will export that RAW to a TIFF, and whatever edits you do in the Nik collection will be stored in the TIFF, so you can go back and re-edit those. But since we've already exported to a TIFF file, we've lost the raw data anyway to recover anything later. In practice, this might not be a major issue because once you've made your basic adjustments in Lightroom, it does not really matter after that. Nik does not create any sidecar files as one might expect. All the settings it has are saved directly into the TIFF file itself, increasing the TIFF file size by a marginal amount, which is not really a major concern. A long-standing issue with the installer, if you have your presets in Lightroom set to be stored with the catalog, the plugins will not appear in Lightroom and you will have to add them manually one by one, and we'll see how this is done. ON1, on the other hand, has no such issues and for some strange reason picks up the applications automatically. The issue with saving the settings in the TIFF file every time is that the entire file would be overwritten every time, which can take some time. Now within the plugin app, you will have to check a box there which says increase file save size to accommodate the non-destructive workflow. Let's see how this works for Lightroom and ON1. In Lightroom, you would have to go into preferences. If you have this option set, you will not see the Nik plugins here and you will have to go into external editing and add these applications one by one. Although I have made this zip here, I will disable it and update the preset. Similarly, you can choose another one and keep saving those. So once we are done with this, let's just take any image and go into edit in and color effects pro. The first time you run it, you'll get a option like this. The other two are disabled. I've disabled the compression here because the plugins have support for that and will enable it there. So no matter where the TIFF comes from, the ultimate save would be compressed, saving more than 50% of the space. So let's do an edit here. It'll take some time to export the TIFF because that will be full frame, full res for my 850 in this case. That's a 45 MP file. And this is a 10-year-old machine. Okay, it's exported. And I go into try. It's all the familiar interface that one is used to, excepting for some of the features that have been enhanced or changed in some modules. And you can pick up whatever you want from here. Let's say this. You can see the number of settings that are applied. Now this has to be checked for editing the same settings later. If this is not checked, it behaves exactly like it used to earlier. To check this out, let's just save this. I've already enabled the zip compression in the save in this application, and therefore it will take a little longer than normal to save the TIFF file. Okay, so finally the TIFF file has been saved. Let's take a look at the size. So it's a 425 MB file. Okay, let's go back and edit. The next time you try and edit, you will get all these three options enabled. Unless you choose original here, Lightroom will recreate a fresh TIFF file which will obviously not have the settings of the earlier edits. ON1 also has the same nuance. Let's click on try. and it takes a while to open. And we have all these panels back, and we'll just go into settings and recheck. GPU is enabled, output settings is set to zip, and I haven't touched any of these, so that's okay. Now let's go back to the filter library and add, oops, this will replace, so let's say add film extended, add fog, and add image borders, and make sure this is checked and save. So like before, because we have zip compression selected, it will take a while to save because this is a full frame 45 MP file. So we got it saved finally. This is the changed look, and if we go back into edit, the older option would be selected by default, which is edit original, and that works. Let's try the same thing in ON1. This already has all of them listed, so I don't have to do anything. Let's just say send, and now make sure you choose TIFF, no layers, Pro Photo, or any other space you want. And like with Lightroom, this will be the first time edit, and then you will move on to edit original. Let's try edit. Now ON1 can really take a long time exporting. So now that it has created a TIFF, it's sent it to color effects. We already have the settings from Lightroom enabled already, like this is checked. And if we go into settings, we already have the zip format set. So if we apply, let us say, some recipe with some multiple panels, yes, and if we save it, once again it's going to take a while to save it, and we are done. So this is the image that we just processed. The thumbnail is yet to be updated, but in develop mode it seems fine. Now if we go back into color effects, you have to select edit original, and do a try, and it comes back with all these panels. So that in effect is the non-destructive part, but for a pre-prepared raster image only. It is not non-destructive for raw files, so we should not assume that. Otherwise, as we all know, it's a fabulous collection of tools which can make life really easy and can give you the kind of effects in single clicks that no other application can.